Boy out there, wireheads and joy toys, corpo, phasman, and street samurai. This is Lupus Daemon Sandifer streaming to you live over NetSpace, telling you to grab some kibble and slot in. It's time for another edition of Generation Cyberpunk. With me today we have Greg.
Hey there, folks. This episode brought by weed. Yes, the thing that keeps your eyes squinty.
Alright, Graham.
Hello.
Matt.
Hello.
Sammy.
Hello.
And Barry.
Fighting Thanksgiving-induced itis. Oh.
We are also not brought to you by weed, but
Hashtag not a sponsor.
Instead, we are discussing the 2004 anime film Ghost in the Shell 2: Innocence.
Just think of how much more we could do if we were brought to you by weed.
Or how much less we'd do. Can this standalone sequel to Ghost in the Shell achieve cyberpunk status like its predecessor? Let's check in and find out. Opening in 2032, Public Security Section 9 Bato, or Bato, I always forget how his name is pronounced.
Bato.
Thank you, Bato, is teamed with Togusa, who, following the events of Ghost in the Shell.
Quick question.
Yes.
Was Bato a member of the Rowe family?
I don't think so.
Oh, funny.
That's a good one.
Oh, I see Ecstasy's in the chat.
Indeed. Party time.
After a series of deaths due to malfunctioning gynoids, think female sex robots, Section 9 is asked to investigate. Since the gynoids all malfunctioned without clear cause, the deaths are believed to be premeditated murders. Bato and Togusa are sent to investigate possible terrorist or political motives. Section 9 concludes human sentience is being artificially duplicated onto the dolls illegally. Called to a homicide scene, information warfare / technology specialist Ishikawa explains that the victim is Jack Watson, a consignment officer at gynoid company Locus Solus, who may have been killed by the Yakuza. Bato and Togusa enter a Yakuza bar to question the current boss, only to be threatened by the bar occupants. Bato opens fire, killing and wounding numerous gang members, including the cyborg that murdered Watson. The current boss then admits his predecessor was somehow involved with Locus Solus, but is insistent that he doesn't know how. Entering a store on his way home, Bato is seemingly warned by the Major and shot in the arm by an unseen assailant. Caught in a firefight, Bato nearly kills the store owner in confusion, but is subdued when Ishikawa appears. While having his damaged arm replaced, Bato is informed by Ishikawa that his brain was hacked, causing him to shoot himself and attack the store occupants. Ishikawa explains the hack was an attempt to stop the Section 9 investigation. Bato and Togusa then head for the mansion of Kim, a soldier turned hacker with an obsession with dolls. Seemingly dead, Kim soon reveals that he lives inside the shell of a human-sized marionette and discusses philosophy with his visitors. Kim admits ties to Locus Solus, divulging that the company has secret headquarters in international waters. Warned again by the Major, Bato realizes that Kim has secretly hacked into his and Togusa's brains and is currently trapping them in a false reality. Resetting Togusa's brain, Bato subdues Kim, stating he knows Kim hacked his brain in the store. Resolved to gather material evidence, Bato infiltrates the Locus Solus headquarters ship, while Togusa remotely hacks its security systems using an unaware Kim as a proxy. The ship's security becomes aware of the hacking and retaliates with a virus that fries Kim's cyberbrain. Simultaneously, a hidden virus loads a combat program into the production line gynoids, causing them to attack everyone on board, easily slaughtering the poorly armed and panicked security force. As Bato fights to the ship's center, the Major then appears by controlling a gynoid remotely, helping Bato fight the gynoids and hack the ship's security. Taking control of the ship, the Major reveals to Bato the truth about the gynoids. Hiring the Yakuza to traffic young girls, Lucas Solis duplicated their consciousnesses into the gynoids, giving them human ghosts to make them more realistic. Bato rescues a young girl from a ghost dubbing machine, and she explains that Jack Watson promised to save the girls by tampering with the ghosting process. This caused the gynoids to murder their owners, allowing Watson to attract police attention and indirectly kill the Yakuza boss. Despite Watson's actions saving the girls, Bato objects that he also victimized the gynoids as well, causing them severe distress by giving them damaged ghosts. Having solved the case, Bato asks the Major if she's happy now. She responds that she'll always be beside him on the network, then disconnects from the gynoid. Alright, so then we can get into our fun facts and our checklist. So, fun fact number 1. This is the first ever film to be nominated for the Palme d'Or in the Cannes International Film Festival in 2004. It is the 6th animated film to enter the competition at Cannes. A co-production with Studio Ghibli. Production IG President Mitsuhisa Ishikawa personally asked Ghibli President Toshio Suzuki to co-produce, as the projected budget of 2 billion yen, or roughly $20 million, was too much for one studio to handle. The 5-minute parade sequence took a year to complete. The set used for the store scene was painstakingly created entirely with computer graphics. That would have been a pain. While Bato is in the grocery store, as a hooded character walks past Bato, a voice tells him, "You have entered the kill zone." Many speculate the character talking is Motoko Kusanagi. In fact, in the special features on the DVD, which documents the making of Innocence, Atsuko Tanaka, the voice actor for Motoko, is shown during one scene to be recording precisely that line in the studio. Therefore, it is pretty certain that the line was indeed Motoko.
I thought it was pretty obvious to me, but I guess there's some dispute?
Oh, there's apparently a dispute.
Interesting. Yeah, both the English and the Japanese, you can clearly hear it, the voice actress for Motoko Kusanagi saying it, so, yeah.
Bato's access code for his car is 2501, the same number of the Puppet Master. In the first Ghost in the Shell movie, this is the recognition code agreed on between Motoko and Bato after her fusion with Puppet Master and before she disappears. In Innocence, this is how Bato recognizes that the infinite loop he and Togusa are experiencing in the dollhouse is a trap. Motoko slips some clues in the hallway, one of which is 2501. A real music box was used to create the music for the dollhouse using an 80-note disc playing machine called Orpheus, manufactured by Sankyo Seikai of Japan. The music box was played and recorded in the studio. The recording was then taken to the Oya Stone Museum, where it was played back over a 5.1 speaker setup and re-recorded. The reverberation thus introduced was to mimic the vast expanse of the dollhouse in the anime. And finally, the setting in Innocence is in the same city as the first movie. The words in the background are all Chinese and not Japanese kanji. Furthering this point is the fact that the language spoken by Locus Solus's mainframe computer regarding security/virus alerts is Cantonese, and the control robots of the factory ship's systems all communicate in Cantonese. No, I don't think the city was ever stated, but I believe it's Hong Kong.
That makes sense.
It makes sense it would be Hong Kong.
Alright, so shall we get into our checklist? I don't hear a no.
No, I believe so.
Let's do it.
I was muted and currently switching it to voting time,
Oh, okay.
which is our checklist time. I just see voting time because we're going through everything.
Oh, right. Core tenets. Dystopian future or alternate present. That's a big old yes.
Mm-hmm.
Present implants or cyberware. That's a big old yes.
Yep.
Mega corporate or government villain with no morals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that would be the company making the gynoids.
Locus Solus, yeah.
Yeah.
But also the
They also kidnap kids. And, yeah, they definitely have no morals.
They are a villain. I don't know if they're the main villain, but
I would think so. Technically, the kid is the villain, but it's not the kid. It's
well,
the group
technically,
that
Kim is
him.
the villain, but
Sort of.
wide class difference. The haves versus the have-nots. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Society on the verge of breakdown or outright revolution. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
You have robots killing people.
On mass scale.
Yes. Ecological or environmental damage to the extreme. I'm going to go ahead and say yes.
Mm-hmm.
Cyberspace. Yes.
Also, to
Gritty.
describe a city as a tombstone that has yet to be fulfilled was an interesting way to describe the second city they went to.
Gritty. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Sci-fi tropes frequently included but not exclusive to cyberpunk. AI, artificial intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Big Brother is watching you. Yes.
Even more than the first one.
High-tech society. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Postmodern deconstruction. Also yes.
Mm-hmm.
Transhumanism. Yes, you have their consciousness being separated from them and uploaded, or at least a fragment of it being uploaded onto robots.
Also, Major Kusanagi is in this one, so yes.
Yes. Neo-noir or tech-noir style. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Drugs or alcohol. Also yes. Now, Barry,
Yeah.
does it feel cyberpunk?
I didn't hear any of that.
Does it feel cyberpunk?
Oh, if I have seen this movie, I saw it right when it came out, and that's the last time I saw it. But in my defense, I've seen my favorite movie, in my personal opinion, only like 3 times, and the last time I saw it was like 20 years ago also. So if I've seen something, I watch it again. Based on everything that was mentioned, yeah, it does kind of sound like Cyberpunk.
All right. How about you, Matt?
Cyber, yes. Punk, yes. Not as much punk as the first one, though. As the crime syndicate, the Yakuza only plays a very minor role in the film. Doesn't have that kind of style to punk to it in most of the aspects of the film. But Cyber definitely. Oh, we're starting to hear a lot on your end there, Greg, for the... I think someone's talking.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was ordering a drink.
Oh, you're fine. I was just curious. Well, I guess we could ask your thoughts while we're here.
Yeah.
My fault.
Does it feel cyberpunk? How about that? I'll just ask him.
The cyber part for me, yes, very much so. The punk part, like I said, you got to convince me because I didn't think it felt as punk as the first Ghost in the Shell movie.
Mm-hmm.
But definitely on the cyber part.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Graham.
I'm gonna say yes.
No elaboration.
Nope.
That's fine. Does it feel cyberpunk? Yes. That's oftentimes what we answer in a lot of these episodes too. Is either yes or no or kinda.
Yeah.
All right. Samers.
It certainly felt cyberpunky.
Cyberpunk E. Okay.
I like that. I've never heard of that phrase before. It's good.
All right. My thoughts were. Well, assuming it'll let me pull up my own notes here. It feels cyberpunk, though I would like a bit more punk.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's the same boat I was in. Mm-hmm.
My verdict was cyberpunk. Because even though there's not as much punk as I'd want, it is still there. I really need to stop scratching that burn on my arm.
Do I get burned?
Oh yeah, I burnt myself making toffee the other day.
Oh no.
I mean, it wasn't anything bad. It's a first-degree burn.
Oh, okay. So it's just red and sore. Gotcha.
Yeah. Matt, what's your verdict?
Cyberpunk.
Cyberpunk. All right.
It doesn't have enough other things for me to take away
I'm gonna
from
say
it.
cyberpunk.
Okay. Barry.
Yeah, cyberpunk.
All right.
Not gold
Great.
standard, but still cyberpunk.
Mm-hmm.
Greg, what's your verdict?
See, that's a little bit hard for me because cyber-wise, I felt, yeah, it's there. It has everything it needs. Punk-wise, it just, I don't know. It's like it just wasn't violent enough in my aspect. But I can't say it wasn't cyberpunk because it had more than enough cyber. In fact, it had even more cyber than most things. So I guess reluctantly I will say cyberpunk.
All right.
Well, I mean,
Reluctantly after your cyberpunk.
yeah. That makes sense.
Cyberpunk. Reluctant. Sammy.
So punk translates to violence in Greg's book.
It's not just violence.
Wouldn't that be more like, a war film?
Yeah.
Have you seen the film Guns Akimbo?
Mhm.
Yes, I also don't really believe that's cyberpunk.
I've also
But you just hang on. You just asked me what relates to violence in my book. There you go.
I would also say we just covered Standalone Complex last week, and that one has a lot of episodes, some of which are not very violent in terms of actual like blood sprayed across the camera, things like that, but yet they deal with brain hacking and taking over bodies. The tank episode, where the guy in the tank went nuts and is going across the city. that's a good example of a cyberpunk episode. There was punk in it. There was cyber, but it wasn't as
But
violent.
that's not the question. Is there punk in this?
Exactly.
Well, I can say there was violence in this. Maybe
What I
not
was
as
trying
much
to
as
say,
Greg wanted.
except I had a frog in my throat, metaphorically, is it even had Cyber Psycho.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And brain dance, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, I felt like it had more than enough cyber. In fact, I thought it went over with cyber, but it just, I don't know, I guess to me just wasn't violent enough. And that's just me.
So you feel it didn't check the gritty box for you?
Just not violent, but I still will give it Cyberpunk because what it lacked in the total amount of violence for me, it made up with more than enough cyber.
All right.
That's fair.
And Barry, did you say Cyberpunk?
You got to me, hun. You missed me. I started and then they went on a tangent.
Correct.
Okay.
Go ahead, Sammy.
And yes, I already did give my verdict.
So, to me, it doesn't have to be violent like Greg wants it to be punk. However, it did lack punk compared to other things in the Ghost in the Shell series. But, although it's not gold standard or anything, I will still say that this was Cyberpunk.
All right. Well, then with a verdict or a final vote of 5 cyberpunks and 1 cyberpunk reluctantly. I'm gonna go ahead and call it Cyberpunk. So while I lock it in, Matt, where can we find you?
Yes. You could find me on both Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram at SNMGD or SNM Game Dungeon. That stands for Stephanie and Matthew are back at our Game Dungeon. We stream mostly Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays from noon to 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, Central Daylight Time, depending on the time of year. And I can say for certain that we still do not have an OnlyFans.
Sure. Dang, I was thinking about subscribing. Barry.
I think he protests too much on that.
The lady doth protest
So he
too
secretly,
much.
he secretly does have one,
That's funny.
but he keeps telling everyone no, so no one looks him up.
I would say comparing this series to almost anything else we've covered where it was cyberpunk, many of them have the violence as you were talking about, Grim. A couple don't. iRobot, we covered, last year?
Did you just say Graham?
Yep.
Oh, yeah, sorry, Greg. My apologies. I said Grim, I meant to say Greg. That's my bad. You both have G names. I apologize. I'm glad you caught that. Thank you. That's a good example of one. iRobot is an example of one that was PG, but it was cyberpunk. It had all the things we were looking at. But almost every other one there is more violent. So I understand where you're coming from there, Greg. Okay, now go ahead.
Barry.
Right. So if you like what you hear of me on this tonight, you can look me up on Linktree. My username on there is spelled KHZHAK. And while I have an Amazon wish list and a Streamlabs merch shop where you can still get a donation t-shirt for Zara's GoFundMe, I would much prefer if you donate directly to her GoFundMe because all of the details are up on that page. And before I get too long-winded, if you look me up on Twitter or whatever it's called, or Google, and your safe search is turned off, that's your problem. Side comment, I'm going to say that you don't need violence for punk. You can do punk with subterfuge. You can do punk with espionage. You can do punk in a Cold War sense. There are many ways to do punk. Violence is not the end-all, be-all. That's all from my side of things. Who's next?
All right, so for this podcast, you can find us on Facebook, X, Instagram, Blue Sky, and Twitch by searching Gen Cyberpunk Pod. Our YouTube channel is Generation Cyberpunk. You can find that by searching Generation Cyberpunk Podcast. If you want to hear more from our group, check out the Thanks for Nothing podcast on the FML Productions YouTube channel. We do various D&D campaigns on that channel, or have in the past, and are currently in the process of making an anime and manga, so stay tuned for that. If you're looking for a file sorter, please check out the Stilt Fox file sorter. Yes, Stilt Fox is trademarked. You can learn more about that at www.stiltfox.com. And finally, please check out the please check out An Unearthly podcast, which streams around 10ish p.m. Central Time every other Saturday. It's a podcast about all things Doctor Who. All right, Edge Runners. Yes, exactly. We have to Delta. Next week, we discuss the 2007 anime Paprika. Don't check out yet. We'll be right back with our next session of our Cyberpunk 2020 actual play. Stay tuned, Chooms.